Welcome back to the show. Well, there's been unbelievable buzz already. You've heard from Tiger and Ernie, who have spoken to radio outlets around Australia about the President's Cup, and we are delighted to see Matt Kamienski, who's the Executive Director of the President's Cup, amongst so many other things in the world of golf, back in Australia with a very busy 18 months coming up of international golf in our fair city. Matt, great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mark and Martin. Thanks for having me.
It's his spiritual home.
He should never leave.
No, he shouldn't.
He should never leave. I mean, he's played a game of footy.
Yeah.
He talks more about St Kilda than he does Tiger Woods.
Correct.
These days, so he should never leave the place.
No, I think we should amend your passport. At very least, you're an honorary
Who do I
Australian.
need to talk to? Can you make that happen, Mark?
Yeah, no problems at all.
Have you picked up any sort of accent, Matt, when you go back home to the States? Do you people say, what's that?
Yeah,
twang
my
in your
wife.
voice?
My wife gives me a hard time when I'm here. I start, how you going, and what's
Yeah.
going, and she's
That's
like,
good.
you just start to talk Australian when you're here, and when it depends on who you're talking to.
Even
so.
the suburb he moved into, you call it Bowie.
I'm in Bowie,
You're
yeah. And I lived in Brighton before.
There you go. Now, the most important question I have for you, and there's a lot to talk to you about on the way through to end of next year when President's Cup gets here. But where'd they get the kangaroos from for the publicity shoot over in the
Got
States?
them from the zoo over there in Orlando. So I think
Right.
it was from actually Disney, the Disney zoo. So. Yeah.
Any issues over there that we need to know about? with
No,
the kangaroos?
no. I think one might have had a little bit of an accident on Ernie, but we'll see. Little ribbon going back and forth now already. So between the two captains, but no, it's it was good. It was a good gig. That only happened like
it's
a couple
amazing.
nights ago, so that was pretty fun.
That's great, and you can sense, can't you, that it breaks through. It crosses. This is one of those sort of potentially transcendent events that any sport needs. You can sing to the heartland and preach to the converted all you like, but events like the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup and the majors, they're the watershed moments that can bring a new audience in. And when you hear non-golf radio guys talking to Tiger and Ernie, and you get a sense for, and we get a sense for how enthused they become about it, well, that's the chance to bring the next market into the game.
Without a doubt. I mean, I think these events, these team events, and then the President's Cup is right there. It transcends the sport in a sense, and it goes beyond just the game. And while the competition's fantastic, the players are fantastic, and we wouldn't have it without them, and the captains are great, but it brings everything that's good about the game, the camaraderie, the honesty, integrity, but the leadership of these players and the charitable aspect. These guys aren't playing for money; they're playing for the charities that they support and their teammates. They're playing for their countries, but also the world leaders that have supported this event. We've ever since 1998 when we were here for the first time, the current head of the state has always been the honorary chairman for the event. So I think I just saw that Bill Clinton tweeted about Tiger Woods and Ernie Els being the captains for the 2019 event. So that's big. It goes beyond just the game. And you think about the folks, like you just said, Gary and Tim, getting excited about Tiger and Ernie and just about the President's Cup. I think it goes beyond just the game and the core fan.
Well, the President's Cup's had some unbelievable names as captains. I mean, right from the very start.
12 of our 14 captains are Hall of Fame members.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. It sounds like almost we're denigrating Nick Price or Greg Norman or Freddie Couples on the American side, others who have held the mantle. But Tiger's just special, isn't he? And Ernie too, for that matter. But Tiger's just next level.
I think I just say that both these guys are next level when it comes to what they've meant to the sport over the last 20 years, 25 years. They've combined for 97 PGA Tour championships. I mean, that's amazing. A lot of these guys that are going to be on the team in 2019 are playing because of Ernie Els and Tiger Woods, and because of what they've seen those guys do over the last 20 years and their duels. And you just, for the President's Cup alone, you look at 2003, and I say that's probably 1998 was the first watershed moment, but 2003 was really what set the President's Cup apart.
At Fancourt.
Yeah, at Fancourt, links at Fancourt, when we finished in a tie. It showed that the event can do that. It showed that it was bigger than just the competition. And, these guys, while they battled it out, they came together and said, this is what's good for the game of golf. We got to finish in a tie because this is about the teams and about our charities and about what's good for the game.
Still one of the greatest matches you could ever wish to see. I mean,
I was there.
Were you really?
I was there.
So what was it? What
And
must
when
have
the-
been unbelievable.
It's one of the best things I've ever seen. So they played they drew the names out of an envelope. Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus pulled the names out of an envelope, and we all basically knew who it was. Because if you think back to 2003, Ernie was in a bit of a hot streak at the time, and he was really challenging Tiger as the best player, really. So Tiger had obviously had that 2000 period where he was unstoppable, but Ernie was really playing exceptionally well. They come out, they play. It's getting dark. They play 3 holes of a playoff, make some unbelievable putts, both of them, but made incredible, par-saving putts and stuff like that. And it got too dark. And I remember Bernie Pramberg from the Courier Mail and I we were out there with the crowd on the third green, I think it was. As they had to sort of try and work out what to do with the event, and they decided to call it a tie. But it was absolutely one of the best things I've ever seen. Yeah.
How dark was it? Because it doesn't look so bad on TV.
Yeah, not possible to play anymore. I mean, I guess the debate at the time was that they could have come back. Maybe they could have come back the next day and played. A lot of people said that they should have come back the next day, but there were players and caddies and staff and people like that were all ready to get out, and no one had sort of forecast that would actually happen. So I think in the end it was a pretty good result. But Matt, I was just wondering if you could talk us through how you got those 2 captains, because I think you were telling me before about how Tiger came through, which was really interesting.
Oh, absolutely. And, Tiger just mentioned it when we did the press conference this morning. Really that, as far as Tiger goes, he probably wasn't. He's always been on our radar as somebody that we'd love to have come about and be a captain. But he's 42 right now, and obviously as we saw last week, he's starting to come back as a player. And in my mind, I always knew that he would do that. So. Or believe that he would do that, or hope that he would do that. But Tiger, actually, I think, as he said, he was trading texts with Freddie and Jim Furyk and Steve Stricker and Davis Love, and they were just kind of group tests after the 2017 event at Liberty National. And somebody said you're probably on the short list. And at that time, Tiger really hadn't thought about it, but I think he really did enjoy these last 2 times serving as a vice captain with Davis in the Ryder Cup, and then in the President's Cup for Steve. Enjoyed being in those team rooms, and it really clicked with him. And the next week he called Commissioner Monahan and actually said, "Hey, Jay, would you consider me being the captain for the U.S. team?" And
Imagine taking that phone call.
I think Tiger said that there was dead silence, and then Jay said, "I think we might be able to make that work." So
it's a great story.
It's awesome.
He's probably dancing a little bit, but no, it's great. And again, it comes back to have somebody that has meant so much to the game of golf, not just the PGA Tour, but the game in general, and the growth of the game. And like I said before, seeing these young guys that are playing because of Tiger Woods, and these guys that choose the game of golf as opposed to going and playing a different sport because of Tiger Woods. He's going to be leading these men in the battle here at the 2019 event, and that's great. And for Ernie, Ernie was really probably the one that we really knew would be next in line. It was, I think he just needed to get the playing out of him and get in there as a feel being a captain, being as a captain's assistant this past year, and let the guys see him doing that, because he was still on the playing side of it, and it was probably tough for him to walk away from that. But I think being at the 2017 event, and really he took the reins and helped Nick out tremendously. And I think the guys on the international team saw that, the Adams, the Jasons, and they were like, wow, okay, we want Ernie. So.
Hey, a hypothetical. So Tiger as captain gets his, there's 10 picks taken off the world rankings for the.
Actually 8 now. We changed that.
Sorry, 8. But he gets 2 captain's picks. What's going to happen if he's not in the first 8? He might have to pick himself.
He did say, I don't have to negotiate with myself in his interview. So, so that we made those format changes, and that was part of the agreement between Ernie and Tiger as we were going through this to get them to be captains. But we're changing the qualification to where it's 8 off the World Golf Rankings, and that's at the Tour Championship time, which will be end of August. I think something dependent on 2019 schedule. I think there's some changes. August, September is when that'll happen, and then they'll have 4 captains picks later on that year, probably sometime shortly before the event.
So we were pretty vocal on that, Alison Whittaker and myself at the time, especially of Liberty National last year, about the format changes. I've been the biggest advocate for President's Cup for the longest time, but it seemed to me that, and you really needed another advantage with Tiger coming on too, Matt, but the Americans had reached this sort of, absolutely powerful position, and I mean that literally. Like you were an absolute force. So we were speculating about things like having a mixed one, taking in the women's power from this region, or some more radical changes. Anyhow, was any thought given to anything more substantial than what's happened?
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking at any way that we can make the event better, obviously, and more compelling for the audiences out there and for the fans, but also better for the players and overall. But look, the event is so young. We've only played it 12 times, and it's come so far in the 12 times that we've played it. The record may not show that it's been as competitive, but it's been a lot more competitive than the record really. It doesn't tell the whole story of how competitive it's been. And I think we just need to give it time. These markets are emerging. We've got golfers coming up that are so young and from so many different places that are going to play well. And the international team, I think they're gonna come good, and they're gonna start playing. And I know Ernie is ready to bring these guys together more often in advance of the event and really try to get them to come together as a team, because that's been the knock for a long time, is that the U.S. guys, they get to play together all the time, and they get two shots at it every other year, or every year basically they get a shot at it, and it's harder for the international team bringing cultures together and stuff like that. But I know that Ernie's focused on that, and he's going to make sure that he's going to bring the guys down here that want to be here and want to win and want to play on that team together. So would we ever look at other things? I think it would be another event. I don't think it would be the President's Cup changing to that.
Okay. So just pushing on from what you just said there, different tack to my previous question. In 2011, Ernie, and next to no pro in the world, and I'm including some of the Australian legends, no Royal Melbourne better than Ernie. I mean, he's a freak show at Royal Melbourne.
He still have the course record?
Yeah, he does 60 on the composite.
Yeah.
Well, it's going
to Heineken Classic, was that?
Yeah, I think it was Heineken. It's going to be a long time, I think, until that one's erased. You can't imagine a 59 going on at Royal Melbourne. But in 2011, I watched with horror as a massive international team fan when he was showing Rio Ishikawa the lines and stuff to hit on the first morning, and there was a bit of a knock on Rio afterwards. But we're not going to see that. Given what you just said, that's the thing of the past, isn't it? Like, he'll have people here preparing and ready to rumble and knowing every blade of grass on Royal Melbourne.
I think that's what he's going to try to get these guys excited about that way. And I know that he made the mention this morning that with the World Cup coming here, the World Cup of Golf coming to Metropolitan, obviously not playing at Royal Melbourne, but playing on another Sandbelt golf course. He's going to encourage his international players to play for their countries and come down and play in that format, and just to get a feel for the Sandbelt golf courses. And so hopefully they come, and they might go play a practice round over at Royal Melbourne during that time, but in advance of competing in the World Cup of Golf. So to get those guys from Thailand, from South Africa, from Australia, obviously, but you get the guys from all the Japan. You saw Hideki and Rio play here last year in 2016, and they enjoyed it. And I think with Ernie's pushing, hopefully they'll come back and support the World Cup of Golf and in advance of the President's Cup in December of 19.
So he mentioned, other than the World Cup, Ernie mentioned that he'd like to see the international team play some foursomes and four balls before he gets here. Have you spoken to him about that? How do you envisage that happening?
No, I haven't spoken to him, but I know that our teams back in the States have spoken to Ernie about ideas of ways to get these guys together more often, outside of just at a practice round at a golf tournament or something like that, at a tournament they're all competing in. So there's ideas floating around, but I know Ernie's going to make sure that when they do show up here in December of 2019, his team's ready to go.
More broadly on the PGA's kind of vision going forward, and it's a really busy schedule, but is there a willingness to embrace more team golf outside of the major teams events, to incorporate some team event play within the PGA Tour schedule?
Well, we had the event, the Zurich event in New Orleans that went to that format last year, I think it was.
And it's great to watch.
It's great, and I think it's different for the fans. That's what makes these events so great for fans, for players, is that it's different. It's going out and playing a different type of golf than you're used to playing. Obviously, you guys play Stableford here all the time, and but that's not something that we do in the States very often, and so it's unique. And I think these guys to be able to come out and play in that format and do it, I think we'll always look at. But the traditional 72 stroke play, I think that's what really is the best test of a champion golfer. So I think that's always going to be the tried and true tested format.
Can I just going back to something you were saying about Tiger before, what he's meant to the game? We won't hold you for too much longer, but I wonder whether anyone's got a sense or any more than that, maybe an insight into what these guys meant to Tiger, and that's why he is so committed to participating in Ryder Cup as, player, obviously, and now assistant captain of the President's Cup. I mean, when he was, kind of estranged from the game, I wonder how tight the bond was between he and a lot of the guys that he competes with and against. And I wonder whether that somehow gives him that unbreakable link to representing American team golf.
Oh, I would undoubtedly. I mean, I think he keeps in contact with all these guys.
Yeah.
And, they're texting each other all the time. I think I mentioned before. I think Justin Thomas mentioned it after that Honda Classic when he won. Going into that weekend.
Except the last day. Right?
Yeah. He'd always get that text message when he's leading or has a chance to win from Tiger. But Tiger was in contention too, so he didn't get a text message from Tiger. So
that was a great story, wasn't it?
It was a great story. They're good friends. I mean, and then you look at the guys that have been captains before, and the guys that from that generation, the Freddie Couples, the Steve Strickers, the Jim Furyk's, Davis Love. That's how that came about for Tiger to be here. And these guys communicate, and they're just good friends off the golf course. And yes, I think Tiger had the itch to get back and be a part of. He enjoyed that side of the game and that opportunity to be in that with these young guys. And I think for these young guys that have really started playing the game because of Tiger and Ernie, but because of Tiger, it's going to be an amazing, I think, just scene to see.
Oh, there's no doubt about
something
that.
to see just how that all unfolds over the next 19 months.
Yep.
You can see the reverence with which he holds Arnold Palmer's event this week. Like he's spoken about, the desire to get back there and just honour Arnie because he hasn't been able to do it since before Arnie passed away. I think it was 2013 maybe when he last played and won.
How many times he won there? Eight,
I think.
8 times, yeah.
And you can hear, obviously Arnold's got a history with the President's Cup and all these guys that Tiger reveres. They've all come through a sort of a lineage of President's Cup in the last 25 years, haven't they? So
yeah, I mean these guys grew up. So this generation that's playing in the President's Cup and Ryder Cups now, they grew up watching Tiger in the President's Cup, and they saw the 2003 event and Tiger and Ernie. The Jordan Spieth and those guys saw him.
Yeah.
Those guys go down in that playoff, and I think going back to just Arnold Palmer as he captained the event in 1996 as a winning captain at Robert Trent Jones in just outside of D.C. He. Tiger made the comment that he needed to get on to his other commitments at Arnold Palmer. That's why he wasn't going to do anything more here because he wanted to give their free air and stuff like that. But also, I think he made that comment on the radio this morning as well with the other guys that he didn't want to focus on the Masters until he got through Arnie's event.
That was interesting.
That's why he's here.
Yeah,
He wants to focus on Arnie's event. This is I want to pay homage to him to some respects, and I think he reveres those guys, so that's great.
That'd be very tough for you, Matt, if Tiger comes out, wins the Masters this year, then wins the Masters next year, gets back into the top few, and then he's coming down to play in the President's Cup. That'd be really tough.
Be so tough, wouldn't it? It'd be tough for all the golf fans down here too.
Sure.
I mean, but hopefully
what sort of crowds would you expect at a President's Cup here, and what were there last time? I remember there were a lot of people out there.
Oh, we had a lot of people out there, and look, there's not a lot of golf really when you think about it. There's only 30 matches now. Back in 2011, we had 34 matches, so we've gone backwards since then. But I'd say our goal is to have more people than we had in 2011. So our goal is to raise the bar and attract more fans, different people, different fans, not just the core golf fan. We want people. This is a big event. It's not just golf, and I think you see that when you go to other big events around the world and globally. It's not just about the competition, which it is. I mean, we love it, but I mean, there's a lot of things to do out there. There's a lot of things for families, a lot of things for people that are enjoy their food and their just different entertainment opportunities. So that are event seekers, not just golf seekers.
Golf tournaments are getting way better at catering to that market, that part of the market, than just the hardcore golf fan who wants to walk around and follow their favourite group. So there's no question that golf's getting better at that as every year goes by.
Matt, I assume there's no tickets on sale yet, but what would, this through the radio stations and on the podcast, this is obviously going around Australia. I'm presuming you reach out to everyone around Australia to get down to Melbourne at the end of 2019 How do they do it? What do they go? What do they?
Yeah, just go to presidentscup.com and you'll find information. We're not on sale yet, and we won't be on sale for a little while. But I do encourage, if you're a golf fan, but even just an event fan, as we look towards the World Cup of Golf in November of this year as well. So that's your first glimpse of getting some of these. There you've got 56 best players in the world from 28 different countries, playing for a big amount of money, but also playing for their countries. Coming down here, you should to support them. You get the Europeans that'll be down here, and the field that we had in 2016. I think it's only going to be better, especially when you got a captain like Ernie Els encouraging those guys to come down and play that could possibly make the Presidents Cup team. So we got 2 great world-class events coming over the next 19 months to Melbourne, and that's just indicative of the great Sandbelt region and what Melbourne does for events and what the state of Victoria does. So we're excited about being here, and I think people got some great opportunities to see the best players in the world.
Murray, with this is the elephant in the room. I mean, we're all happy with Jay Monahan, and due respect to Jay, but we've been silently sort of pushing for Matt to be the new commissioner of the PGA Tour for years now. It's very disappointing you didn't get that nod, Matt. I don't know if you've got anything to say about that publicly.
All I have to say is that that job is perfect for Jay Monahan, and he's perfect for that job, and we couldn't ask for a better person to succeed Tim Fincham, who was amazing. So.
That's the most diplomatic thing.
No, it's true. He's amazing, and you guys will get to know him. He'll be down here before the event, and you couldn't ask for somebody who's got better forward thinking and taking the PGA Tour to the next level. Really, I mean, Tim brought it to where it is. Dean before him, and Jay is going to take it to new heights. He's amazing. So,
in all seriousness, though, he's been a massive advocate for taking the tour around. He hasn't got there, perhaps, to Australia yet, but. He's spoken so highly of Australia when I've heard him speak.
Absolutely, and he hasn't been. Yeah, you're right. He hasn't been here. I know he's very excited about coming down here. It's about taking this event global. Look, we're the most global tour. I mean, we've got the most players. 70 some odd players from different countries playing on the PGA Tour. More than that, 120 or something like that. And they're it's growing every day, and that's the tour that everybody wants to get to. And we need to do a better job of marketing our tour in general. To the different countries. We've opened an office. We're here in Melbourne for these 2 events. We've got an office in Japan. We've got an office in Kuala Lumpur. We've got an office in China. Opening an office in London. So there's a lot of things going on with the PGA Tour, and it is his vision is global, and but it's also fan first. It's about making it the best product for the fans, and you'll see that through what we do in the media space, but also what we do on site with these 2 events and other events around the world. So.
Well, the fans have got a lot to look forward to, starting with the World Cup in November and then the Presidents' Cup next December. It's going to be phenomenal. We are excited about what we've heard and seen today, Matt, and we can't wait. We just can't wait. So
I can't wait either, Andy and Mark and Martin. Thanks for having me. This is it's going to be great. Hopefully, have a lot more conversations over the next.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll have a game of golf at some stage.
Absolutely.
Too. And next time you play a game of footy, we'll all come along. We'll stand in the outer and we'll heckle you from the other side of the fence. All right. Matt Kamienski, Executive Director of the Presidents' Cup, joining us on Inside the Ropes.